Hello friends, and welcome back to the Mothership. Today we're going to be checking out these dry age bags made by Umai. We're going to be taking an 11-pound prime rib, dry aging it in our very own fridge, and hope something fantastic comes out on the other side. Sound good? Let's get started. First things first, let's get the meat that we are going to use onto our workstation. This is about an 11-pound bone-in ribeye prime. When you're choosing meat, honestly, you want to pick a bigger cut because we could lose up to about 40% of this to moisture loss and to the moldy exterior that we're going to have to cut away towards the end. The last time I did this, I did an even bigger cut, but since it's right past Christmas, I have a whole bunch of stuff on sale, and this looked perfect for this little experiment here. So it's probably also ideal to get a cut that is coming directly from the processor, so it's still in the cryovac. This has probably had some people touching it over the course of them cutting off pieces for Christmas meals, because this is exactly how it was sitting on the butcher counter. Getting a cut like this that didn't come directly out of the cryovac just means that there's a higher chance that there's some other funky stuff sitting on here that might end up getting into the meat when we're dry aging it and causing it to actually go bad versus getting that nice exterior that we're looking for. But I think we're gonna be okay, honestly. What you wanna do is just take it out. You don't want to pat it dry. We want all this kind of gooey stuff on the exterior. That's going to allow it to adhere to the bag and let us get that moisture out. Which brings us to the next step, which is actually getting the bag. So this right here is the dry bag. As you can see, it's pretty long. We could probably do a very long tenderloin on here. It's not super wide, but I think this will fit right in there. If you're doing a bone-in cut, they do recommend to put some parchment paper on the side of the bone so it doesn't cut it. The bones on this particular cut are not too far protruding, so I think we should be okay. I don't think they're gonna cut anything. But what we wanna do is just get it into the bag. Now, they recommend folding the bag open like this so that you're not touching the exterior of the bag. So this goes directly in there. Perfect. And fits like a glove with plenty of extra space to spare. Now our next step is going to just be to vacuum seal it. Umai does have in their instructions a couple of different options you can do if you don't have a vacuum sealer, but this really is the easiest option. What they do give you are these kind of cloth strips here, which allows a little bit more breathability through the vacuum seal. So what we want to do is basically get it kind of like that and then seal over the top and then do it a couple of times. So since this is a semi-porous membrane bag, it's not going to get as tight as, you know, say what your regular bags are when you're doing some leftover brisket or something like that. So I've cut off a little bit of excess of the bag on the exterior here. What I'm gonna do is make a seal like this, just to make this surface area a little bit smaller. My machine I don't think will fit all the way across, so I'm just going to do a seal kind of like this on an angle, and that will make the surface area much smaller. And now I'm gonna give it a second seal just to make sure. So that's nice and sealed together. Now I can get my little strips in here, like so. Get everything lined up, and we'll give it the actual vacuum seal. As you can see, it's not super tight, but that's kind of what we want it to be. We want to have a little bit of space. And honestly, as this thing dry ages, the meat is going to shrink because moisture comes out of it, and the bag is just going to be very floppy anyway. And now for the fun part. What we want to do is get it onto a rack and put it in the fridge. It's important to have it on a rack in the fridge because that allows airflow to get all around here. We want as much airflow as possible, and we want to put it in a fridge that's actually gonna be open and closed a lot, so not the one out in the garage that you never use. So what we're going to do is take this meat fat side up, leave it on this rack, and put it in my fridge. And we're gonna leave it alone for about a week. That's gonna allow the bag to adhere to the meat, get everything started. We'll come back and I'll show you what's going on, and we'll talk about next steps. 1 week has passed, and you can tell that stuff is already starting to happen to our slab of meat. We got some nice dark coloration on here. It's already starting to harden out. The bag has adhered to the sides of the meat, which is why we didn't want to touch it for about a week. So at this point, I had it in my fridge with the back of the fridge right here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip it over so that this side faces this way and the bottom faces up. Now I do that because while the wire rack gives it some height, you really wanna make sure that airflow can get all around this thing. So I wanna just keep flipping it every couple of days to make sure that every single side of this gets enough airflow and is able to start to dry out. Look at that, nice and pretty. This is gonna be beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see this, but that's the side. It looks pretty nice right there. All right, back in the fridge, we have, you know, a couple more weeks to go, and I will pop in periodically and show you guys what it looks like as it moves on with its journey. 10 days in, let's take a look-sees. As you can see, we got some nice color coming in. Sides are looking real good. Flip her over. Nice firm exterior coming on here. It's definitely thickening up a bit. 20 days in, let's see how we're doing. You can see there's quite a bit of pullback from the bag, which apparently is to be expected. We've got a nice hard exterior on here. Everything's looking great. Some different color molds coming in, but nothing crazy. I think it's looking fantastic. We're not even halfway done yet, guys, but I am excited to see what comes out on the other side, and I think it's gonna be pretty darn good. Today is the day, and we are at 45 days. I just weighed this. We are at 9 pounds right now, which we started about 11, so that's about 18, 19% loss just in moisture. We're obviously gonna lose quite a bit here when we come to cutting off some of the mold. And then, you know, there's a certain amount of this that's just bones that we're not gonna be able to eat anyway. So here is the final product, guys. Very hard exterior. There's definitely some mold on there. Whew. Hard as a rock. I don't know how well you can see that. Not the most appetizing. But at this point, I think what I want to do is just cut it up, get some steaks out of here, and see what we're working with. So let's get this sucker trimmed up. So a couple of these are probably going to be a bit of a pain, but I'm going to start with this one because this looks like the easiest. I'm just going to go right to the right side of this bone right here. We're just going to cut right through, trying to avoid that bone. Now here's the reveal, guys. This is our prime bone-in ribeyes. Dry aged for 45 days. Ooh, that looks delicious. Really good marbling in here. This fat can all come off. The rind really isn't that thick. It's about, I don't know, less than 1/4 of an inch all around here. Once I pull this bone out, we'll probably have some pretty decent sized steaks. So I'm going to cut these up. I'm going to try and get the bones out and turn them into steaks that are more manageable, about 1 inch each. But I'm pretty excited, guys. These look delicious. Okay, this is all of our trimmings, guys. Obviously, I'm not a professional, so I'm sure I could have done a better job. But there is quite a lot of just waste when you're doing this process. I mean, you got basically your hard, moldy exterior here, and then you got a little bit of meat that I missed. But some people save it. Some people use it for, I don't know, putting into sausage or something. I'm not that person. I don't want to. It doesn't smell that great. It doesn't look that great. You know what? If you like it, more power to you, but I'm not going to use it. So this is unfortunately just waste. Now our final result here are these 8 1-inch dry aged prime ribeye steaks. I pulled the bones out of them and they look fantastic. I mean, what is not to love about that? And I wish I had a piece of that meat to show you the difference in color. I'm assuming this is a lot darker. The smell coming off these is not bad. It's definitely kind of a nutty, I don't want to say rotten, but it's definitely a smell off the meat. But everything looks great. There's no horrendously disgusting colors on any of these. I mean, here is the rind that I pulled off. It's not great looking. Don't want to eat it. But even smelling it, it's not too bad. It's a little off, but nothing crazy. So I'm going to vacuum seal these, and I'll just keep the 2 out that we plan to cook up for tomorrow. You know, I was planning to end this video without showing you me cooking one, but all right, you guys deserve it. Here is a nice medium rare steak. Look how beautiful that is. Woo. Perfect.